Hi kids, I am here with this story. Beautiful Bible story. Our story today, if you remember, is going to be on Lot, Abraham's nephew. We'll just get into the story here. We'll read the Bible verse that goes along with part of it first, okay? And Abraham said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we are brethren. Which Abraham is saying to his nephew, please not let us fight and not let our servants fight, because we are family and we're supposed to love each other. And you can find in the first book of the Bible, in Genesis chapter 13, verse 8. Now let's get into Lot's story. Lot makes a choice. Some of the people who moved from Babel after God confused the languages built a city not too far away to the north. These people called their city Ur, the name of the moon god, idol they worshipped. But you're not supposed to worship idols, but they was. One good man in the city worshipped the true God, just as Noah had done once upon a time. God did not want this man's family to grow up in such a wicked place, so he appeared to the man whose name was Abram. He told Abram to leave Ur and follow him to a land far away. In this new land, Abram's family would grow in number and become a great nation. One day, the new land would be theirs. God even promised that all the families of the world would be blessed because of Abram's son and his family. Abram did not understand all that God said to him. Already he was getting old, and he did not have not even one child. How could the world be blessed through his family when he had none? He could not understand that the great blessing to the world that God was speaking of was Jesus Christ. Many, many years later, Christ was born into the very family of which Abram had been a father. This way, Abram's family gave all the world a blessing by giving them a Savior. Although Abram did not understand all that God told him, he obeyed God through faith, which means he trusted in God enough to believe in him. This means that he obeyed God and believed what God said, even though he could not yet see the new land or his large family or the blessings to come. He just knew that God would keep his promise. Abram had no children, but he actually did have a family to move with him to the new land. He had his wife Sarai and his old father Terah and Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who had died, which makes Lot Abram's nephew. Lot had come to live with his uncle Abram since he had no father. Besides these, there were many servants who tended Abram's flocks. All of them packed their belongings and left Ur with Abram. As they journeyed along, they would catch for streams of water. When they found one, they would pitch their tent homes and let the animals enjoy the water for a while. At one place called Haran, they stayed for a long time. Perhaps Terah was too old and tired to go any further, because we know that he died there. Abram was very sad, but he gathered the rest of his family together, and they began to travel slowly once more toward the strange land of which God had spoken. After a long journey, Abram reached the land of Canaanites, or Canaan. It was near a great sea and had sloping hills and grass. perfect for cattle and sheep grazing. The Canaanites had built some cities in their land, but Abram continued to live on the open fields in his tent. Before I go any farther, I'll just show you the picture of Abram and his servants traveling on their way to Canaan. The Canaanites had built some cities in their land, but Abram continued to live on the open fields in his tent. As he was setting up his tent near an oak tree, God appeared to him again and told him that this was the land. This was the land that would be his. Believing and trusting in God, Abram built an altar there and worshipped. Except for a little time that he spent in Egypt when food for the cattle was scarce, Abram continued to live in Canaan. The number of his cattle and sheep grew, and he gained much silver and gold as well. He became a very rich man. By this time Lot had grown up, and he owned many flocks and herds too. Between them there were more tents and sheep and cattle than one spot of land could hold. Because they were so crowded, it was natural that both Abram's and Lot's servants would try to get the best land and most water for his own master's cattle. These herdsmen began quarreling and arguing over the grazing lands until news of it reached Abram. When Abram heard about the trouble, he understood right away what a problem the men were having. There were too many animals to feed on the land at that place. He went to Lot and said, "There should be no quarreling between you and me, or between our herdsmen, because we are of the same family. Is there not enough room around here for all of us to live at peace? Let us separate. Whichever direction you choose to settle in, I will go the other way." As Abram spoke, Lot looked out at the land stretched before him. On one side he saw the green valley through which the Jordan River flowed. "That is the land I must have for my own," he thought selfishly to himself. Actually, all the land had been promised to Abram by God, but Abram was kind enough and so willing to agree that he gave Lot his first choice. Lot gathered his servants and flocks together and moved toward the Jordan Valley, confident that he could grow richer and more successful there. But before Abram turned the other direction, where the land was not quite so good, God spoke to him. "Look from the place where you are standing toward every direction, east, west, north, and south. All this land is going to be yours someday, and it will belong to your children as well." Again, Abram had to believe God by faith, because he still had no children. But he did trust God, and when he came to a place called Hebron and pitched his tents under the oak trees there, he worshipped God with a sacrifice. And that's the end of that story. We'll get more into the story of Abram and Lot and Abram's family in the next story, which will be a runaway slave. Because there's a lot to come in Abram's story. Abram's story starts about the whole thing, basically from here to come throughout the Bible. It starts with Abram, which God later changes his name to Abraham, and changes his wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. And they don't have no children yet, and they're very old. But you will see that in stories to come, that even though they were very, very old, God still blessed them. God blessed Abram with not one but two children. And, of course, they had children and children and so on. And Abram became father of many, many. Which down the line led to Jesus, our Savior. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. I hope you guys are having a great day, whether you're seeing this video in the morning, afternoon, or night. I don't know, so I hate saying good night on here because you might be watching it in the morning, so I just hope you guys have a great whatever time of day you're having. And I hope you guys are enjoying the children's series, and I hope you come back to watch more with me. If you like the video, please click the like button down below so that I know you're enjoying these. And I will be back again with you soon, God willing, to continue our story of Abram, as he is yet to be called. Bye, little ones. God bless.